Hi, welcome to my channel. I'm Dr. Miyoka Masundi. I'm welcoming you to Retracing My Africa. And if this is your first stop here, if you've never been here before, just to let you know that I focus on promoting our African cultures and basically by sharing cultural practices of Africa, our languages, our ways of life. I'm beginning a new series on African family life, and I would like you to indulge me. Yeah, so if you haven't watched my previous short video, I did mention that I'm beginning a new series on African family life. So please watch that video if you haven't already, and you'll get a gist of what I'm talking about in this series. But in today's video, I wanted to talk about parenting of other people's children. And I begin by introducing a concept that I first heard of when I was going to school in Ohio. I went to school at Ohio University. And I remember during my time writing my PhD dissertation, I came across a concept called other mothering. And other mothering, especially within African American culture and African American communities, other mothering has to do with providing maternal care to the children of other people that are not yours. Yeah. And there are so many different reasons that lead us to mother other people's children. I was mothered by my grandmother. And I had so many mothers growing up, by the way. Yes, but I was mothered by my grandmother. That's who really raised and took care of me. And here in Africa, it's very common to have children being raised by their grandparents. And I would like to just share that there are pros and cons to other mothering. But let me begin by just maybe tackling the question of what is it that leads us to mother other people's children. There are so many things that happen in the life of a child that might lead to this child being mothered by others. For example, you may have a child that has been orphaned. You may have a child that is coming from impoverished circumstances, and so they have to move from their home and go and live in somebody else's home in order to get care. You may have a situation where a child is being adopted because where they're currently living or staying, there is abuse going on there or something of the sort. There are different scenarios that lead to children having to be mothered by somebody else. And so, what happens when a child that is not yours, that you're not biologically related to, or is not your own child, comes into your home? How do you mother this child? There are pros and cons to mothering other people's children. That's what I can say. The pros are that, a child will get a home, a meal, a family, a sense of belonging, and they'll be able to get an education, maybe go to school if you can provide for them. So, in that sense, then it would be a very positive thing to the child and also to the community that they get a new home. But there's also instances where bad things happen to children while they're being cared for by other people who are not their biological parents. For example, we know that in some instances, children are abused, children are forced to do labor. When they are still children, they're being forced to do domestic work or to do other types of laborious activities in the home. And this is not what they're supposed to be doing. They're probably just young and not even old enough to do any of this. And you find them being abused by so called parents. You may find instances where a child has, in this instance, may be denied opportunity of going to school, they're being denied food, they're being physically, sexually, emotionally, and psychologically abused. All these things can happen in the process of someone caring for a child that is not their own. And so that is the reason why I decided to talk about this issue, is that we have to be very careful about the way we mother or father other people's children. The aim of adopting a child and bringing them into our homes is not so that we abuse them. The goal should be to really improve the life of this child. By providing them with the necessary nourishment that they need, providing them opportunity to go to school, and just loving and caring for them. That's really what we ought to be doing. So I mean, for me, I think that even as Africans, we should continue being communal, having that spirit of communalism, in the sense that, when we see children being abused, we shouldn't look the other way. Maybe sometimes you have a neighbor, or you've seen this child in the community and you're suspicious about the circumstances in which they are living or growing up in. They may have signs that they're being abused or being left without food or anything like this. We have to take action. Please, if you're that neighbor and you suspect that the child you have been seeing around has some trouble, try and follow up and show some care, intervene, and find out exactly what the situation or the circumstance this child is in. That's we're supposed to be our sisters and brothers keepers, but also we are supposed to be the village. We're supposed to be that village that provides care for our children. Yeah, so in this video, that's kind of just what I wanted to say. I want to reinforce the idea that other mothering is such an important um, practice within African traditions, within our African heritage. It is something we should hold on to, but at the same time, we must ensure that we provide children with the type of care that they need, with the love that they need, the nourishment that they need, so they can grow up and become, positive members of our society. And at the same time, if we discover that a child is under distress or that they're undergoing any type of abuse, that we really step up as adults and provide them with the protection that they need. So with that, I think I'm going to end my video here. I don't know what you guys think. How many of you grew up with other mothers? I would love to hear your stories. Feel free to leave me some comments on this one. And if this was your first stop, your first time here, I really welcome you, and I urge you to stick around. Please come again and watch my videos, like, give it a thumbs up, and by all means subscribe. And let's hope we spread some love out there. Thank you. Have a good day.